All right. This is the last try for this evening. If this doesn't work, I will have to figure out what's wrong with my network. Please let me know if the connection is okay and you can hear me fine. If you can just let me know in the chat. Hey, can you hear me? All right, okay, at least the feedback seems okay. Okay, let's try one more time, and then I will start hunting down my the problems with my network. Anyhow, let's have this one more try. I will once again just link this to our Discord server so that everyone else can join if they want to. Just bear with me for a second. Immediately, if there's any problems, just let me know in the chat, so I'll try to figure out what's going on. All right, let's see. Cool. All right. Okay. I think it's fine. Cool. One more time. Welcome to the live stream. Technology is fun when it works, and then when it doesn't work, it would be fun to have codes for nuclear weapons because this is really irritating. Anyhow, I think I was in the middle of answering a question. Once more, if you just joined us, how these live streams work is that I have a link to a Google form in the description box below. So if you have any questions that you would like me to answer live, please post your questions in the Google form so that I can answer the questions in on a first come first serve basis. The chat gets pretty busy at some point, so if you post your questions into the chat, it is highly likely that I will miss the question. All right, welcome everyone. I will not go through everyone who is live once again, but rather I will jump directly into the first question of this stream. So we have one more question from last week, which came from Lorena. She is already studying in Finland, specifically at a School of Arts, Design and Architecture. And the question is, do you have any insights on how is the career opportunities or the field within the practice of architecture and design in Finland? I'm asking this as a foreigner with intention of staying in Finland and finding a junior architect position here before graduation. That's a great question. Thank you, Lorena, for the question. This is also a pretty difficult one for me because I do not have prior experience in the field of design and architecture specifically. However, what I do know is that if you study at a Finnish university, specifically if you study at Aalto University, you will have excellent career prospects as a architectural student in Finland, even though you don't speak Finnish. So the first jobs in your field are not going to be easy to find. So this is purely the truth. However, what I would say that try to be as active as possible during your studies in, for example, different student communities, student clubs, especially in your subject clubs, because those usually organize quite a lot of career evenings where companies in your field will come and meet with students from your faculty. If you actually organize these events, you always have a upper hand because you will be in contact with these company representatives, and it is more likely that you would be able to apply for some of their hidden positions that they, for example, don't advertise publicly, especially if you get along well with these company representatives. This same tip actually applies to every single person in the stream. If you want to utilize your studies as well as possible during before you graduate, in terms of your career prospects, I really recommend that you participate as much as possible in different career evenings and events, specifically organized by student clubs and organizations. Why? The reason is that those companies that actually come and organize these events, for example, like dinner parties, they actually pay quite a lot of money to participate in those events. So usually, when, for example, the Aalto University business students and the organization organize like a career event, there's actually a queue of companies who would like to participate. And only those that pay the most money can actually participate in these events, because they usually have slots for only like 1 or 2 companies per event. This also means that those companies come to these events with the sole intention of recruiting new talents to their teams. And when you go there, you usually have like 10, 20, 30 participants. You will have an excellent opportunity to actually discuss career opportunities and your own skill set, and perhaps job openings that they have currently with the company representatives. This will give you an opportunity also to show your face and get to know the recruiters in those companies. And when you actually apply for those positions, you will be in an advantage compared to other people who are basically anonymous to those recruiters, right? But back to the question from Lorena, I don't have first-hand experience in the career prospects for architects. But if you do well in school, you participate in these events, and you actively seek for work from your field, you're gonna get lucky at some point. And once you get that first good job in your field, it gets much easier to get the second, third, and then the fifth as well. All right, I hope that helped. Once again, welcome everyone. If you have any questions, please post them in the Google form that I have linked in the description box below, so that I can actually answer the questions in first come, first serve basis. Also, if you are not yet a member of our Discord community, I also have a link to our Discord server in the description box below. Inside the server, we discuss studying and working in Finland. And I, for example, have a bunch of frequently asked questions answered there. So if you have any questions, go ahead and check out the server, because your question might actually be answered already inside. The next question comes from Karina, who comes from Peru, and is applying to study in Finland in the next application period, which, by the way, starts in December. She is interested in studies in English language studies, English language or culture studies. And the question is, do you know of any grade calculator to convert my Peruvian grades in the Finnish grading system? That's an interesting question. No, I actually don't know. I guess you mean the grades specifically from high school or from university/college. Just let me know in the chat so that I can answer your question. Meanwhile, the next question comes from Arv, who is also from India, and he's also applying in the next application period, and is interested in electronics and nanotechnology. That's cool. And the question is, what's the scope for electronics and communication engineering in Finland, and what about PhD and research opportunities? That's a great question. I would actually need you to elaborate a bit more on what do you mean with scope. So basically, you can do a bachelor's and a master's and definitely continue into a PhD, specifically in electronics and communication engineering. Finland is the country of communicational engineering and for example, networking. If you guys didn't know, for example, Nokia comes from Finland, and nowadays Nokia, instead of making phones, they're actually fully devoted on working on, for example, 5G technology. So there's a lot of different opportunities for engineers working on and studying communications, networking, electronics, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. Basically, Finland is a land of engineers. So if you do well in school, and if you have, well, let's say it this way. If you get a degree in Finland, no matter what the degree, but especially if you do a degree in engineering and you do well in school, you will always have good career prospects in Finland. And no, you do not necessarily need Finnish, especially in these fields, because most of these companies, most of the companies working on, for example, in electronics and communication engineering are international corporations, and their workplace language is English anyways. So definitely you can also do a PhD. I would highly recommend it. In this case, I would definitely recommend that you apply to do your degree in Aalto University, because they have the highest quality research, as well as the most opportunities for financing your PhD. So I hope that helped. What's up, guys? There's actually a couple of new people in the stream. I can see from the chat. Once more, for everyone, if you have any questions that you would like me to answer live, the chat becomes quite busy at one point. So please, if you have any questions, post them in the Google form that I have linked in the description box below. And then I will answer your questions in a first-come, first-served basis. If you post your question in the chat, it is highly likely that I will miss your question, and hopefully you will not get mad. All right, so let's get back to the question from Karina about the grades, Peruvian grades. So the thing is that I see that in Peru, the grading system at universities ranges from 0 to 20, and passing grade would be 11, and good 12, and a good grade would be from 12 to 15, and 16 to 20 would be very good. Right, so this is the Peruvian system. Okay, right, so in Finland we use the ECTS credit system, and we use two types of grading systems. So the most common is from 0 to 5, which means that 0 is failed, 5 is the best, and then the average is 3. I'm sure that you can find a converter or conversion program from the web if you just Google, for example, university grades 0 to 20, convert 0 to 5. If you do this, I'm sure that you're going to find some kind of a tool. I don't know. I have never tried it, but I'm sure that you should be able to do it. Some schools in Finland also use 0 to 3, but that's a bit more rare. However, I hope that this answered your question. All right, the next question comes from Kritisha, who is from Nepal. Awesome. And has not yet decided whether or not she wants to come to study in Finland. And she is interested to apply to Laurea University of Applied Sciences and interested in nursing. Awesome. I actually think that you might have had a comment in one of my videos today, so sorry if I weren't able to answer that yet. Anyhow, the question is, how do I apply for nursing degrees? Is it possible to work and study at the same time? And what kind of scholarships are provided? All right, so let's break this down. So how you apply to nursing degrees is the exact same as you would apply to any other degree program in Finland. So in Finland, we have basically this joint application system where during each application period, you can apply to 6 different schools at the same time. Specifically speaking, nursing is taught at universities of applied sciences. So a degree in nursing is a bachelor's degree. So you would not be applying to a university, rather a university of applied sciences. For example, one of the schools that teaches nursing is Metropolia, University of Applied Sciences, and you would apply to that school, for example, during the normal application periods when everyone else is applying to universities and universities of applied sciences, anyways, are at the same time. However, the one thing that you have to note with a lot of the programs in nursing in Finland is that some, not all of them, what I've understood, but some of them require you to have at least B2 level Finnish skills before you actually can even apply. This is because nursing, like many of the other healthcare related degrees, is taught on a very practical level. So you would be spending quite a lot of time with actual customers, actual patients. And this requires you to have at least basic Finnish language skills. You can also study Finnish while studying. You will have mandatory Finnish courses, but you have to check the specific schools whether or not they require you to speak Finnish. About work while you're studying, I'm actually about to publish a video about this topic, but to summarize, as a non-European Union or non-European Economic Area student, you can work for 25 hours per week on average while you have lessons. So this means time that is not so basically during the term during each term. So we have autumn term and the spring term. So during those terms, you can work for 25 hours per week on average. During holidays, you can work for full time, or you can work full time without restrictions. However, the thing is that in healthcare, for example, nursing, I'm not completely sure about nursing, but in many fields and many programs that have to do with healthcare, you are not allowed to work in Finland before you get certified. So it is highly likely that if you apply to study nursing, you cannot work in your field until you are in the end of your studies. Rather, you would have to apply for something else, like service sector jobs, like working at a grocery store, restaurant, or, for example, a bar. That's fine. You could definitely do that, but you just have to take this restriction into account. Also, super important to understand is that if you work while you're studying, you have to progress with your studies at a normative pace, meaning that you have to do at least 45 credits per academic year. If you do not, the Finnish Immigration Service will not reinstate your residence permit. So if you have to work, but you don't progress with your school, you will basically be kicked out of the country. So take this into account. Finally, the question was about scholarships for nursing programs. Basically, all Finnish universities and universities of applied sciences have some kind of scholarship programs for non-European Union and non-European Economic Area students. The scholarships depend on the school and the program, so I would have to know which school you're applying to. Scholarship information can be found on university websites because the scholarships are university specific. Right. Awesome. Yeah, Handy Andy is confirming what I'm saying. So she's emailed many schools, and the Finnish language skill is required in almost every single nursing program. That's right. I've heard that there's some school that doesn't require it, but I don't know which one. I haven't found it yet. Awesome. Once again, if you guys have any questions about studying or working in Finland, please post your questions in the Google form that I have linked in the description box below. There's already quite a lot of questions in the chat, and I'm definitely going to miss something if you post your question there. Anyhow, let's jump into the next question in the form, which comes from Andrea, who is coming from the US and applying to study in Finland in the next application period. By the way, which starts this December. She's applying to JAMK, SAMK, and Arcada, so that's Joensuu University of Applied Sciences as well as Saimaa University of Applied Sciences, I think. And she's also interested in nursing. And the question is, how is the healthcare field looking in Finland? I'm referring to the workforce. Is there a shortage in healthcare workers? That is, Andrea, that's a really good question, and this is the reason why I think that having these Finnish language skills mandatory when you apply to healthcare-based educational programs is extremely dumb. We have a massive shortage of skilled healthcare workers, especially like field workers. So we have a bunch of like neuroscience or neurosurgeons and so on. We don't really have a shortage of them. However, we have a huge shortage of people working with the patients themselves, especially like nursing and physiotherapists and occupational therapists. So if you are able to get a degree in Finland in any of those fields, you are guaranteed to get a job because there's such a huge shortage. However, what's completely twisted is that the salary levels are still not that high. So this is basically going against the market perspective. So usually when you have huge shortage of employees or workforce, usually the salaries go up. In this case, it's completely opposite. One of the reasons is that many of these people are actually working for public institutions like public hospitals. And for them, for some reason, the salaries have not gone as high as we have been expecting. So that is very unfortunate. However, if you go and work to the on the private market, private hospitals, for example, your salaries can be really nice. So I hope that that answered your question. There is definitely a shortage of good and talented people in the healthcare industry in Finland. And I would love if you guys were able to actually come here and study those fields. Awesome. We have the next question coming from Neelakantan Krishnan, who comes from India and is applying also in the next application period. And he is interested in the Sibelius Academia or Sibelius Music Academy, which is awesome. And his field is musical vocals. That's cool. All right. Okay, that's really awesome. And the question is, what is the average rent in Helsinki for students? It's really hard to say what's the average rent, but if you can hold on for just a second, I actually have a video for you that you have to check out. Just a moment. All right, I will have a link in the chat for you. Please check out this video first. So I have a dedicated video about rents and the cost of student housing in Finland. So please go ahead and check that out. I actually go pretty much into quite a lot of into detail about the different apartment options and their rents in Finland. So please check that out. What I can say is that Helsinki is the most expensive city in Finland to live in. It's the capital, so that's pretty obvious. However, what is really cool is that we have an extremely good student apartment system in Finland. We have a lot of different non-profits and, for example, student unions that are providing student apartments two university and University of Applied Sciences students in Finland. And a good benchmark is that a student apartment is half of the normal market price, especially in Helsinki. So you can actually save a lot of money. So please check that video out. Also check out the playlist that I have about student accommodation. There's quite a lot of stuff there. For example, I have a couple of student apartment tours that I did with together with HOAS, which is one of the student apartment providers in Finland. Next up, we have a question from Khalil, who comes from Algeria and is also applying in the next application period, and is interested in a bachelor's degree in marketing. Oh, I'm sorry. You have already have a bachelor's degree in marketing from Algeria, and he is interested in studying sport and tourism management. Awesome. And the question is, should we have a good grade in order to get admitted to study in Finland? In general, yes. The rule of thumb is that the better grades you have from high school or from your previous degree, if you already have a bachelor's degree, that is going to help you with your admission. However, do note that when you're applying, for example, for a master's degree or a bachelor's degree in Finland, as an international student, there are also a lot of other things that are taken into account. For example, your SATs, your TOEFL, or your Ects. If you have like practical assignments, like for example, if you apply to study design and arts, then you will have practical assignments, which will be the biggest part of your application process or scoring. In addition, if you have a previous work experience in the field, that would actually also impact your admission process or application. If you have referrals from your professors or maybe your old boss in the field, that could have a positive impact. So there's quite a lot of stuff impacting your admission and your application. However, yes, good grades from your previous degree do help, definitely. It's not the end of be all, but it still helps quite a lot. The next question comes from, and I already apologize for butchering your name. Please let me know in the chat if I even come close. The question comes from Preeti Ohri, who's from India. Again, please I do apologize for mispronouncing your name. And she's also applying in the next application period, and interested in studying fine arts in Helsinki. And the question is there any sort of visa-related problems if you are at the age of 45 to 46, but you have an admission letter and have fulfilled all the basic requirements? No. No, there should not be any problems with your visa application. Your age should not impact, at least what I've heard, your age should not impact your residence permit application at all, as long as you have your admission, you have been admitted to study at a Finnish institution of higher education. Of course, please take everything that I say about residence permits with a grain of salt, because I have no professional expertise in this area. But my gut feeling is that absolutely your age should not. Your age should absolutely not have an impact on your admission process. There. Awesome. One more question, and then we will go back to the chat for a second. The next question comes from Abraham, who comes from Egypt and is also applying in the next application period and is interested in medicine. Awesome. And the question is, when is the next application period for the 2021-2022 academic year? So the next application period to study in Finnish universities or universities of applied sciences starts this December Many schools have already posted information about their application process for this year. Usually, the application period runs from December to either mid or late January. So that's the timeline when you have to apply. So fill up your application. However, a lot of people have been asking me, for example, about their SATs and whether or not they have to do their SATs before they apply, before they submit their application documents. The answer to this is, in general, is that no, you do not necessarily have to take your tests before you submit your application. Rather, the universities allow you to submit your test scores a bit later in the application process. However, you have to apply to any of the schools between December and mid-January-ish. So if you want to apply in the next application period, go ahead and check out the application website from the university that you're interested in. They should already have some information about this upcoming application process. If they don't yet have any information there, they should be posting it within the next few weeks. So keep an eye out for those websites. All right, let's go into the chat for just a second. Let's see what's going on here. We have people from all over the world, which is really, really cool. And for example, Mats Babud, I'm sorry again for mispronouncing your name. Mats Bahul Karim asks, I want to know about part-time jobs, like what kind of a job for international students are there and what can you do? And what's the wage? What kind of salaries can you actually get? About the salaries, I actually have a video about salaries for students coming up within the next 2 weeks. So do make sure to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss that when I get it online. About jobs, please check out this video that I have in the chat. Please check out that video first. So I have 15 different ways of finding a job as a student. In that video, I do not talk that much about, for example, service sector jobs like working at a bar, restaurant, at a grocery store. However, those jobs are totally fine as well, and they're usually a bit more easy to find. However, the problem is that many of these kind of service sector jobs require Finnish skills, or that you speak Finnish. However, as an international student, you can basically do any kind of a job that a Finnish student could do as well. And about the wages, that depends completely on the job itself. So it's totally impossible to tell you in an average. It also depends on your previous experience as well as how far you are in your studies. All right, then we have, and Joken Studios is asking, are there enough career prospects for digital international business graduates? How much can we earn while working part-time? So digital international business. I am not familiar with that degree or that major, but if you, for example, think about like business degrees in general, business graduates in Finland in general have the best career prospects because there are so many different jobs in that field. So if you, for example, do a business degree at a university, like a master's in economics, you will definitely get a job as long as you know what you're doing. So every time I say that you're going to get a job, it still requires that you have at least average grades from school. And if you have previous work experience, it's going to help quite a lot. What is most difficult in Finland for international students is finding the first job in your field. But this also applies to local students as well. So, for example, I didn't get I only got my first kind of real job in my field after my 3rd year. So after I graduated as Bachelors. And only after that I really kind of got the ball rolling. And nowadays job seeking for me is pretty easy because I already have quite a lot of experience accumulated. Again, the wages I cannot say for sure. Depends on the job, depends on your experience, depends on the company as well. However, I have a video about this topic coming up within the next 2 weeks, so make sure to subscribe and put on notifications so that when I get that video online, you will actually get a push notification about it or an email notification. All right, then we have questions. In Finland, can we have financial aid? Once more. So in Finland, as international students, can we get financial aid with the SAT exam? Okay, so if I understand this question correctly, the question is that what are the different ways of getting financial support when you apply with an SAT? So in Finland, Finnish students are able to get governmental financial aid or grants. These are not for international students. So, for example, we have a monthly stipend, and then we have a governmental guaranteed student loan. But those are only for Finnish nationals. The only way to get financing for your degree in Finland as a non-European Union and non-European Economic Area student is by getting a scholarship. And your question about getting financing through your SATs, yes, your scholarship is dependent on your application and, for example, on your SAT score if your application requires an SAT or for you to do SATs. The minimum score to get a scholarship depends on the school, it depends on the degree program, and it also depends on the year, because applications in Finland are done in a competitive basis, or admissions in Finland are done in competitive basis. So the higher the benchmark for each year is, the more difficult it is to A, get admitted, and B, to get a scholarship. So it's impossible to tell you what the minimum score is because the universities do not publish this information. My tip for everyone is, if you want to get financed for your studies, is to study extremely hard in high school and study extremely hard for your SATs or whatever the application tests are, and try to be in the top percentile of students or applicants. Only the best students in Finland are admitted or are granted scholarships. So you have to be at the highest percentiles. But I can't give you any more details because, again, it depends on the school, the year, as well as the degree program. So Katumbe says that, hi, I'm a student from Namibia and I have been trying to apply to study logistics in Finland, but I'm really finding it difficult to apply. All right. If you have any, okay, there's no clear information on their sites. All right. So that's correct. Information on how to apply to study in Finland at a university is spread around the internet, and this is the reason why I have this YouTube channel. So if you could please tell me which schools you have been looking at in the chat, I can maybe elaborate a bit more, but it's really difficult to tell you how to proceed because this is quite a wide topic. Then we have Xenot Ek saying, hey bro, what's up? I'm in my 11th grade. I'm 16 and I have average grades in my previous classes. Want to study computer sciences at Aalto University. I'm very good at math, physics, and chemistry only. Really, you really need to study hard at every other topic as well. Try to really study hard, as well as study extremely hard for your SATs when you apply for a program in computer sciences at Aalto. Aalto University is the highest ranking university in Finland, and the program in computer sciences is very competitive. So if you want to get in, you really have to study hard. Sacrifice everything else for at least half a year and just study so hard to get in. Because if you are admitted, your sacrifice will be absolutely worth it, because graduating from Aalto in their computer sciences program will give you extremely good career prospects. Computer scientists and developers are in extremely high demand in Finland, and if you are talented at all, you will. Most students actually never graduate because they are recruited by companies already while they're studying, and this is actually a problem to many universities because their computer science students will never graduate. So study hard. All right, let's get back to the form. So if you have any questions about studying or working in Finland, please from now on post them in the Google form that I have linked in the description box below, because this makes it much easier for me to find your questions, and I can answer the questions in a first come first serve basis. Anyhow, the next question comes from Ekenson Abai, who comes from Nigeria and is starting school this semester. Awesome. I hope that you have liked studying in a Finnish university so far. And the school is specifically University of Applied Sciences in Kouvola. Awesome. I would really like to hear what you've thought of the UAs in Kouvola so far. I have no personal friends who have studied there, so I'd really like to hear about your experiences. And the field is digital international business. And right, okay, I already got this question. So this was the question about career prospects for digital international business graduates. So business graduates in Finland have good career prospects in general. Awesome. Let's see. Let's get back to the chat for just a second. Again, if you have any questions, post them in the Google form. I'm out of questions there. So if you have anything that you want me to talk about, just post them in the form that we have below. Let's see. So there's one more question in the chat. Are there good opportunities for physiotherapists in Finland? I want to go and do a master's in medicine afterwards, accelerated course, maybe in a different European Union country. That's an interesting question. So in general, physiotherapists in Finland do have good career opportunities. The problem again is that some of these jobs do require you to speak Finnish. However, if you're good at what you do, and especially if you apply to work at a private institution, a private company, then that should not be a problem. Actually, Finland has some of the highest quality physiotherapists, specifically specializing in sports. And there's actually quite a lot of Finnish doctors and therapists who are treating the top athletes in the world, like NHL level, Formula One level people. And so if you're really good at what you do, you can actually have really good career prospects in Finland. And I would actually encourage you to do your degree in medicine in Finland as well. So I think that would be really cool. Topoyo, awesome to have you here as well. If you have any questions, post them in the Google form so that I can answer your questions live. I'm actually out of questions currently, so if you have anything that you would like me to talk about, let me know. Also, if you guys want to let me know what are you drinking this evening or this morning, depending on your time zone. This is actually a really cool Finnish drink. Due to Finnish marketing law purposes, this is soft drink. Wink. But this is really cool. All right. Any more questions? Also, let me know. I would be really interested in knowing what is the situation with COVID at the moment in your home country. In Finland, we are basically in the middle of wave 2 or the second wave. The numbers aren't really looking that good, but I think our healthcare system is dealing with the current situation quite fine. How this shows in people's day-to-day lives is basically we do not have a mask mandate, but we have a mask recommendation in the entire country. In addition, restaurants and bars have to close up. I think was it at 1 a.m. or it might be at midnight, because apparently there's been quite a lot of problems with people being in bars and restaurants drunk. So at that point, people don't really socially distance each other from other people, and this causes problems. In addition, actually, there's been quite a lot of student parties in the beginning of this autumn semester that have actually caused spikes in cases, specifically at university campuses, and quite a lot of universities have actually had to close up again, because many of the universities were able to open up their campuses after the summer because we did really, really well during the summer. And now now that we opened up, the cases have been going up once again. Topoyo is just knocked off from work and watching while walking home. That's awesome. How is the weather there currently? I'd love to know. Actually, we have a couple of new questions in the form, so let me answer these first. So the next question comes from Asaf, who is from Israel/Portugal, and have not yet decided whether he wants to study in Finland. All right, I'll try to answer your question. So maybe you would want to study in Finland. It's been a long day. He's interested in studying at SAMK University of Applied Sciences in Pori, and specifically the field is physiotherapy. There's two questions. First one: any insights, advices about Pori, the institution, and the degree? Yeah, sure. About Pori, I have never lived there myself. I've actually never been to Pori myself. I hear it's a really lovely city. It's not that big, for example, compared to, Helsinki, the capital. But that doesn't bother me, for example, at all. I've heard quite a lot of good things about it. And as well, I've heard quite a lot of really good things about SAMK. So as an institution, I can definitely recommend SAMK. They have really high quality education. So if they have a program that you would be interested in applying to, and their application requirements are suitable for you, go ahead and apply. I can definitely recommend it. The degree itself, physiotherapy, again, I think I mentioned this a while ago. Physiotherapists in Finland do have, in general, good career prospects. The only problem might be that, especially in the beginning of your career, so right after graduation, it might be a bit difficult to find a job, especially in the public sector, because many of the public sector jobs require Finnish for you to work, for example, at a hospital. However, if you know what you're doing and you have good grades from school, you can apply to the private sector. And there's a lot of different private sector companies specifically specializing in physiotherapy, different physical therapies, and they treat a lot of different kind of customers, and they don't have as strict language requirements as some public institutions. The second question is it possible to work while studying full time? Yes. So again, I answered this question, I think, half an hour ago. So there's a couple of things that you need to know here. Plus, I actually will have a video coming about specifically this topic in hopefully within a week. So make sure to have your notifications on so that you will see the video when it comes online. It will have much more detail in it. Anyhow, to summarize, what you need to know is that while you're studying as a non-European Union student, you can work for, on average, 25 hours per week per semester. So the amount of hours is not calculated per week. Rather, it's calculated per semester. So for example, because we have autumn semester and spring semester. So during the autumn semester, you can work for 25 hours a week on average. So some weeks you can work a bit more, some weeks a bit less. Also, during holidays, which means Christmas holidays and summer holidays, you can work full time without any restrictions. So that means that during Christmas holidays you can work around approximately 3 weeks, And then during summer, you can work for approximately 12 weeks full time. What you really need to understand is that since you come as a non-European Union student, you have to apply for a residence permit. And in order for you to, in order for the Finnish Immigration Service to reinstate that residence permit, you have to do at least 45 credits per academic year. And they specifically state that working is not an excuse for not progressing with your school at this normative pace, so 45 credits. And if you don't do the 45 credits per year, you will most likely be denied, your residence permit will most likely be denied, and you will be kicked out of the school. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind. Then from my experience, studying full-time at a university or a university of applied sciences and working at the same time is extremely taxing. I personally burned out once, and it wasn't nice. In addition, my graduation has been postponed by a couple of years because I've been working at the same time. It's really, really taxing. And the problem with, for example, a degree like physiotherapy is that you have mandatory classes that are done during the day, and you cannot be absent, which means that you will spend your days in school, in class, and that only leaves jobs that you can do during the evenings or weekends. So if you do evening or night work, night shifts, you're going to be extremely tired in a very short period of time. If you do weekends, that's fine, but then you will have no free time. So please really consider whether it's worth working at the same time at a part-time job. The one more thing that I would take into account is that finding a part-time job as an international student in Finland is not easy, especially in the beginning. There's multiple reasons for this. I will not go too deep into this at this point. However, do not rely on getting a job right after coming to Finland. It will take potentially multiple months until you will get something, a job in Finland as a student who is in the early stages of his or her studies. That's right. You have a European Union citizenship because you have a dual citizenship. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Forget everything that I said. No. If you are a EU citizen, you can work without any restrictions. That's basically it. However, the same things about the working hours, school, and being able actually to physically do it, the same things apply. However, what's different for you is that you can actually work without restrictions, without any hourly restrictions in Finland. Awesome. Thanks for actually correcting me. Next question comes from Roman from Italy, and who is already in Finland and is studying business. The question is, what is the major that is job guaranteed after graduation from Bachelors in Finland? Thank you so much. That's a really good question. I would have to know which school you are studying in, because that will give me an idea of what degree you're doing, because there's multiple different business degrees. However, as I mentioned a while ago, if you are a business graduate, doesn't really matter what your specialty or major is, you will have good career prospects in Finland. However, if you want to if you just want to think about your major from the perspective of what guarantees a job in Finland, doing a degree in business administration and accounting, and for example, what is this? I have to Google just a second. Auditing. If you have a degree in business administration, accounting, or auditing, that will basically guarantee you a job because there's so many different positions there. However, from my personal experience, you should not do a major based on what guarantees you a job. Because that means that you will then work for the next 60 years in a job that you hate. The reason is, especially in your case, is that business graduates in Finland, even international students, have good career prospects. You just simply have to work hard in school, get good grades, and be actively looking for a job, and be active in your student community, especially in the subject clubs and the different type of career evenings. This will guarantee that you will have a job no matter what your major is when you graduate. So I hope that clarifies this topic a bit. Yes, Pori is much, much, much cheaper than Helsinki. Absolutely. I actually have a video about monthly costs in Finland as a student already on the channel. Let me just pull it up for you. Just a moment. All right. So here, actually, this video that I just linked into the chat, I actually go through all the different costs of living in Finland as a student using Excel. So I actually go really, really deep, and I actually cover, for example, internet subscription as well. So make sure to check that out right now, because that gives you quite a lot of information about on this topic. Anyhow, the next question comes from Andrea, again from the US, and who is applying in the next application period. And the question is, as you mentioned that nursing students cannot work in the field until I graduate. My question is, can I volunteer in the hospital or do any jobs that are related to the medical field that doesn't require the degree? That's a really good question, and unfortunately, I cannot give you a direct answer here. I simply don't know. Again, about my statement that you cannot necessarily work in your field before you get certified, I am not 100% sure when you will actually get your permit to work and to what extent, but this is pretty common in the healthcare industry. For example, my girlfriend is, on top of her business degree, she's also doing a degree in occupational therapy. And, for example, they do have multiple restrictions on what kind of job you can do in the healthcare industry before you get to a certain point in your studies or get a certificate, basically graduating. So unfortunately, I cannot elaborate on that more because I don't want to give you false information. However, if you want to, actually, you could contact me. Make sure to send me a DM on Discord. Again, the link can also be found to the Discord server in the description box below. Send me a direct message on Discord, and I could actually try to contact one of the employee unions or interest groups in Finland, specifically in nursing, and I could actually try to get an answer from them because they know for sure. So again, just get to Discord and send me a question there. Next question comes from Arthur. It's awesome to have you here once again. The question is, hi Oliver, I need a health insurance plan in Finland. Are hospitals there free for international students in case I'm a citizen of a member country of the EU? Does anything change? So basically, when you come to study in Finland, yes, you need to have a private insurance that will cover your medical costs in a case of that you need treatment or, for example, medicine. I have to say that straight out of my head, I don't remember how does it go with international students if you need to use medical services in Finland. I would guess that the insurance comes into play here. However, do note that we have really good student healthcare services in Finland that are free to use for international students as well, at least most of the services. I also have a video about this topic. Just let me pull it up as well. So Arthur, if you're still online or in the replay, make sure to check this video right now or after the stream. There you go. So in that video, I explain what kind of healthcare services students get for free and which services actually cost money. Next question that we have in the form comes from Andrea again. And the question is, how is the transportation in places outside of Helsinki? I'd like to study in Helsinki if I get accepted because I like big cities. Same here. But if I get accepted somewhere else, I'd still go. Awesome. Definitely you should do that. But I will keep my fingers crossed for you getting admitted to Helsinki because Helsinki is awesome. How different is Helsinki compared to other cities? For example, in Jyväskylä. That's actually a very interesting question. So Helsinki, of course, as the capital city, is quite different from other cities. Of course, Helsinki is a big city, but Helsinki as a city itself is actually not that large in quotations. But usually we talk about Helsinki as the Helsinki metropolitan area, which actually includes 4 different cities: Helsinki, Vantaa, Espoo, and Sipoo. I'm sorry, Sipoo isn't included. So 3: Helsinki, Vantaa, and Espoo. Espoo is the city to west of Helsinki, where the Aalto University campus actually resides. Together, these cities actually make a really, really big metropolitan area. And within the Helsinki metropolitan area, the public transportation is really, really good, and it's really well organized. So basically, we have the only metro in Finland, which goes 2 ways, west and east, and then we have buses, trams, trains, and yeah, that's basically it. We have local trains and then intercity trains, and those work really, really well. So of course, Helsinki has the best services. Helsinki has the best, most companies, so we have the most employers here. So it's easier to find a job in Helsinki compared to many other cities. There's most amount of nightlife here. There's the largest amount of universities. So there's the largest amount of student activity compared to any other city. So basically, again, it's just bigger than anything else. However, public transportation in Finland in general works really, really well. So for example, Jyväskylä doesn't have a tram system, but they, for example, have local and intercity buses, which work really, really well as trains. Also, in many of the other kind of university cities like Jyväskylä, Vaasa, Turku, Oulu, a lot of people actually just use bikes because it's really easy to cycle around the city because they are smaller than Helsinki. Of course, in the winter, this is not necessarily possible, but during the summer, it works really well. I would not be. I would not worry about this at all. Public transportation in Finland works really well, especially compared to the US. You guys don't have that good of a public transport system compared to, for example, the Nordic countries. So compared to that, Jyväskylä is like a gold mine for you. Sorry for giving it to the US, but you know. All right, the next question comes also from. I'm sorry. The next question comes from Roman, again from Italy, and the question is: thank you very much. I completely understand, but I really don't have a problem with the major. I just want to a guaranteed job. I studied business administration in XAMK. And by the way, thank you very much. You are really the best. Thank you very much for the very kind words. I do appreciate it. I also appreciate every single one of you guys who are in the live stream, as well as watch and comment, watch my videos and leave comments. For those of you who didn't actually know already, I actually went full time on YouTube in the beginning of September. So I actually quit my 9-to-5 job, a really well-paid 9-to-5 job, in order to do YouTube full time, and it's all because of you guys. You being active in the videos that helps me get sponsors, get different business deals, and that allows me to do this full time, and actually it allows me to help you more because I have more time to put into the channel as well. So I really appreciate you guys being here. All right, next question comes from Taylor from the US, who is also applying in the next application period. I think this is the first question from Taylor, so welcome to the stream. It's awesome to have you here. He is interested in the University of Helsinki and specifically environmental sciences. That is cool. That is really, really cool. I definitely recommend you apply there. The University of Helsinki has extremely high quality research in these fields, and I definitely can recommend you to apply there. The question is, hi Oliver, I hope to study in Helsinki next fall, and I was wondering if you could provide any information on popular student housing options. Also, would you happen to know the cost of living Also, would you happen to know the difference in cost of living between Helsinki and other Scandinavian cities, Copenhagen especially? It's really difficult to say what the difference in cost of living is between different Nordic countries and their capitals. I've only once been to Copenhagen, and that was for a trip, for a holiday, so I really don't know the prices there. What I do know is that Oslo, or Norway, is extremely expensive. It's like Finland is an expensive country compared to a lot of European countries, and especially the US, but Norway is like out of this world expensive. A lot of Finnish students actually don't even want to go to do their exchange in Oslo because it's so damn expensive there. Anyways, Stockholm, so the capital of Sweden, is also approximately the same price as Helsinki, I think. But Copenhagen, unfortunately, I do not. I would guess that it's somewhere in between. So most likely not that much more expensive. However, what is really cool about Finland and studying in Finland is that we have an extremely well functioning student apartment system, which means that student apartments are approximately like 50% off from the market price. So if you would get a apartment from the private market, you would have to pay like at least a double compared to what you would have to pay for a student apartment. The question about student housing for Helsinki, I would really recommend that you look at apartments from HOAS. So that's HOAS. HOAS is actually one of the sponsors of this channel, and I've been working with them for quite a while. I've also lived in a HOAS apartment for almost 8 years now, and I've been nothing but happy. They have really, really cool apartments, very good locations, and the prices are extremely affordable. The second option for you specifically at the University of Helsinki would be the apartments from the University of Helsinki Student Union, HYY. They actually have quite a lot of apartments that are specifically meant for students at the University of Helsinki, and they're spread around the Helsinki metropolitan area, and they're also really, really affordable. Again, I will link the playlist. Let's see. I have a playlist about student accommodation in Finland that I will link to you in the chat. Just a second. So just go through all of the videos that I have in this playlist. I have a lot of different information about the apartment types, how to apply, how much do a student apartment cost, as well as I have a couple of student apartment tours that I did together with HOAS a while ago. So that should give you an idea of what kind of apartments do we have in Finland. So go ahead and check that playlist out as soon as you have the time. The next question comes from Topoyo, who comes from Lesotho. Lesotho? That's actually really awesome. I've never been there, surprisingly. And she is applying in the next application period to the University of Helsinki, and specifically applying to do a Maste'rs in Translational Medicine. Awesome. There's a couple of questions. The first one is, how is the job market for pharmacists? It's really good. It's as simple as that. It's really really good, and the salary levels are really really high. People have always been envious of a pharmacist in Finland because they make a lot of money. I don't really have anything else to say. I don't know. To your question about, do you know if international pharmacists are allowed to practice in Finland? If you do a degree in Finland, you should be able to do. You should have to be able to practice in Finland. However, especially since you're applying to do a master's, make sure that you do not require. I'm sorry. Make sure of the requirements to apply to do a master's in translational medicine, because I know that some medical fields or faculties that do medicine, especially if you're applying for a master's, they do require you to have a bachelor's degree in the same field, and your degree has to be equivalent to a degree done in Finland. So, for example, there's quite a lot of people who apply to work to study psychology in Finland, a master's in psychology, and quite a lot of people had actually asked me about this. And the problem is that in order to do a master's in psychology in Finland, you have to have a bachelor's degree in psychology that is either done in Finland or it has to be accepted by the Finnish standards. And this means that most people who have a bachelor's in psychology, especially if they come from like South America, they cannot apply directly to do a master's. They would have to come here, do a bunch of different courses that would then make them that would then enable them to apply to do a master's. Some people have actually applied directly to do a bachelor's degree, and then they have gone from there to do a master's. However, psychology is especially difficult in Finland because the application process basically requires you to speak native Finnish. I don't think that's the same thing with Masters in Translational Medicine, especially since it's if I remember correctly, it's a degree that you have to do. It's a degree that it is a degree that is taught in English. So in that case, that would allude to the fact that you do not need to have a Finnish degree. However, please make sure of that before you apply, because I don't remember it exactly. The second question was, how would you have international students who have already in Finland? Do I have any international students basically in my life? Do I know any international students who have already done a degree in Finland? Yeah, I actually know quite a lot. For example, when I started school in 2012 at the School of Business at Aalto University, I actually was put into a international tutor group, meaning that most of the students in our tutor group were actually international students. And I think we had only 3 Finnish people and maybe 6 international students. So yeah, I actually know quite a lot. I'm actually working currently in a company, in a startup where our main engineer is from Mexico originally, and he graduated as a mechanical engineer, a master's in mechanical engineer, I think last year from Aalto University. So yeah, definitely. The problem with many of them is that they applied before some of the restrictions came up in 2017. So a lot of the international students that I know have done their degrees without a tuition fee. So the application process is a bit different. But yeah, definitely, I know people. Next question comes from Arthur. The question is public transportation such as subways and buses expensive in Helsinki? No, not at all. I'm sorry, I didn't even read the rest of the questions because I already know the answer here. Public transportation in Finland is extremely cheap, and public transportation in Finland works extremely well, especially in the capital region and in large cities. It's ridiculous how cheap it is in Finland. And as a student, you get at least 40%. In some cases, you get 50% off the public transportation ticket prices. So as a student, it's even cheaper to travel in the city. it's really, really cheap. I think, for example, like for me, for a month, 1 month, a ticket for a month that covers all the public transportation options in Helsinki: bus, train, tram, metro. Uh, yeah, that's all. I think for a month that's like 30 euros, and you can use as much of them as you want. So that's like ridiculously cheap. In case I have a student card, do I get a discount? Yes, specifically if you have a student card, which you should definitely get, you will get a student discount. Let me actually pull one more video out here. So I have a video where I explain the different student benefits that students in Finland can enjoy. So let me just post this in the chat. So you can actually watch that video. I explain how you can use student benefits and what kind of discounts you can actually get using your student card. Then there was a question, is there any sort of monthly ticket that I can buy for subway or bus? Okay, I definitely should have read the question. Yes, you should specifically get a monthly ticket because it's much cheaper than getting a single ticket. Oh, I'm sorry, it's like immensely cheaper than buying a single ticket. So as a student, with a student discount, especially in Helsinki or the Helsinki metropolitan area, you should specifically use a monthly public transportation discount ticket because it's the cheapest way to travel around the metropolitan area. And it's super cheap. All right, next question. Again, just to repeat myself to everyone who is live, if you have any questions, please post them in the form, Google form through the description box below so that I can answer your question live. I have one more question in the form and then I'm out. So please ask me questions if you have anything. I would love to answer your question because it's so much easier to do it live than, for example, do a dedicated video about it. The next question, and I'm already sorry for butchering your name, comes from Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu, who comes from India. Abhimanyu. Was it close? Let me know in the chat. He has not decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but he's interested in Aalto University and not sure yet which field. And the question/comment is, hey bro, I love your channel. Love that you are here live with us. Really awesome to have you in the community. I'm 16 and studying in the 11th grade. I study science in my high school. I'm good at sciences in general. I'm interested in engineering, but not sure about the specific I am interested in engineering, but not sure about a specific stream or specialization. I'm still exploring. When should I apply to Aalto? And what can I do from now? What can I do at this point? I don't want any job. I just want to learn engineering in Finland. And are there any startup opportunities in Finland for engineering students? Okay, there's quite a lot of stuff here, so let me break this down. So if you are good at sciences in school, and if you want to apply to study engineering in Aalto, make sure to try and do as well with the other courses as well before you end your high school degree or before you graduate. Because the better you do in school, the better chances you also have getting admitted into a university in Finland. Especially Aalto University is the highest ranking university in Finland, and the admission is pretty competitive. So if you want to get here, you really should try to work really, really hard in high school, especially since you're 16. You still have a couple of years to go, I would assume. So really, really, really focus on getting good grades in school, because this will make it easier for you to get admitted. Second is that when you apply to study engineering, I think that you need to do SATs. Just let me check really quickly. Mm, if I'm correct, you need to let's see. So, for example, if you apply to study computational engineering, which is a really cool specialization, I think there you need to do SATs for the application. Yeah. All right. So you need to do your SATs. So let's see. There's mm, let's specifically check which SATs you need to take. Okay. So the required SATs that you need to take is SATs, evidence-based reading and writing, as well as the mathematics section. And you need to do a SAT subject test in mathematics, math level 1 or math level 2. The exact application requirements, I will link this to you. Let's see which program it was. Computational. There you go. Here's the application page. So check out the specific application requirements from that page, but you have to do the SATs for that as well, which means that you really need to study hard for your high school degree as well as for the SATs. The Aalto University has minimum requirements for each program. For SATs in each program. However, do note that those minimum requirements are only the minimum, and you have to get higher points than that, preferably quite a lot higher, because again, to reiterate, the application and admissions are done in a competitive basis. So only the best applicants will get admitted, and only the best of the best applicants admitted will get scholarships. So you really want to work really hard for your SATs in order to get admitted, as well as to get a scholarship as well. So talking about the different streams of engineering or the specializations that you can do in sciences and engineering, or sciences and technology at Aalto, you have chemical engineering, computational engineering, data sciences, digital systems and design, as well as quantum technology, which sounds something that you might be interested in, especially if you're interested in sciences. So let me... from that page, I have this page in the chat as well. From there, you can actually see all the different bachelor's level sciences and technology programs that you can apply to. So I hope that helps you out. So the application for Finnish universities, Aalto included, are organized twice a year for English taught programs. One is in the spring, and the main application process or applications happen in autumn. So the autumn application period starts in December and it ends in January. And many universities only use this one application period. So you need to apply in the autumn period or autumn application round. So to the question, what can I do for now, is you can study hard in high school. That's basically it. And your last question about startup opportunities, especially for engineers, Finland is a safe haven for entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial students. We have one of the most active startup communities and entrepreneurial communities in the entire world, and especially in Europe compared to many European countries. And Finland actually has not only the leading startup event in the world, we also have the leading startup student communities in all of Europe. And we have the biggest hackathons in Europe. So, for example, I've been doing a lot of startup-y stuff during my studies. And for example, I'm actually, I actually established a company with a couple of friends last December, and we're currently working on it. And it's basically science-based. So there's a lot of different opportunities. Awesome. We have more questions in the form. Next one comes from Daniel, who comes from Finland. And is already studying in Finland and is going to graduate from Aalto from IT, I think, Tietotekniikka, which is computer sciences, I guess, depending on the specialization, and he should be graduating in 2021. And the question is, hey Oliver, excluding price factors, would you recommend living closer to Otaniemi or Espoo or more in the central Helsinki area? I'm thinking in terms of student life, activities, parties, etc. Oh, right. So sorry, are you actually applying in this upcoming application period? Please let me know in the chat because I thought that you're already applying studying at Aalto. Nevertheless, the answer to your question is that I would definitely recommend that you apply for AYY apartments in Otaniemi at the campus. So for everyone else who doesn't know this, many universities have student apartments at the campus. And most of these campus apartments are actually run by student unions for those universities. So the Aalto University Student Union, or AYY, actually has quite a lot of student apartments at the Otaniemi campus, and they're super cheap. This is kind of a two-edged sword, because if you live in Otaniemi, of course, you're just a bit further away from Helsinki. You can always take the metro. It takes 20 minutes to get to Helsinki. So in terms of like parties, it's not going to be a problem living in Otaniemi. However, if you live in Otaniemi, you will be in the middle of all the student parties and activities, and in the center of the Aalto student community. So you're going to have a lot of different opportunities that you will probably not have if you don't live in Otaniemi. So I always recommend to apply for the AYY apartments because they're really cool. Plus the community there is awesome. If you think about, for example, living in Helsinki area, of course you have more services. Shops are closer. The shopping centers are closer. All the bars in Helsinki are, of course, closer. I live in Jätkäsaari, for example, which is really close to the center of Helsinki, in a horse apartment, and I love it. The area is really cool. It's a bit more expensive than living in Espoo. It's not bad. And I love the fact that I can just walk to Helsinki, the center of Helsinki, and it takes me 10 minutes. And I basically don't have to use public transportation at all if I don't want to, unless I need to get to the campus to Otaniemi. In that case, I will take the metro. So all of these options have their positives and negatives. For example, if you live like in Espoo, say in Tapiola, the apartments are way more expensive than, for example, in Otaniemi, and it's not as much fun as living at the campus. So I hope that this answered your question. Next question comes from Youssef, who comes from Egypt and is applying in the next application period. Specifically, let's see. Currently studying computer sciences and interested in studying business administration. And the question is, can I miss the first 2 months at Aalto, as I would be doing a volunteering program in Iivonsaaren, and my program will finish in 31st of October 2021. So I would be missing the first 2 months. Probably not, I would guess. One of the problems is that the teaching periods, so we have 5 different teaching periods during the academic year. 2 during autumn, 3 during the spring term. And each teaching period during which we have courses and the exams is 6 weeks long. So if you miss out 2 months, you're going to miss 1.5 teaching periods, which means that you are going to miss quite a lot of courses from your first year. That's not good. In terms of can you do it, like from the perspective of bureaucracy, I think yes. There's nothing stopping you from registering as an active student and not showing up. There are a couple of things that you must do, like you have to do your personal study plan, you have to register at the school. There's details like this, but you can, in theory, skip the courses. However, the crappy thing is that many of the first year courses that you would need to do at the beginning of autumn, so basically during September, October, they only run once a year. So that means that if you miss those courses during your first year, you need to do them in the next year, and this might cause a delay in your studies unless you play around with your courses and timetables. So technically, I think it's possible to do. However, I would not recommend it. Really cool that you're doing a volunteering program. That's really cool. But try to figure out a way where you don't have to skip all of the school. For example, try to do remotely. That's one option. Before I get to the next question, let's jump for a second into the chat because there's quite a lot of activity there. So let's see. All right, so Daniel is saying that, first of all, Alexi, welcome once again to the stream. Alexi himself, if you guys don't yet know who Alexi is basically the OG of doing videos about Finland and Finnish culture. I'm not sure if Alexi is still live in the stream. Let me know in the chat. But I will post his channel to the chat because I really encourage you guys to go and check out his channel. Alexi has a lot of really cool videos about Finnish culture, Finland in general, Finns. For example, some of his more popular videos are about dating in Finland, which is actually not a completely obvious thing for a lot of international students. So go ahead and check those videos out. So awesome to have you here once again. And thank you so much for the positive feedback. Right, so there's a lot of discussion in Swedish, I guess. All right, let's see. So Daniel saying, I speak pretty well, but I haven't learned how to read right and don't even have to have a Hebrew keyboard. Oh, right, okay. So talking about Israel. So there's one question about, Oliver, is the weather really bad in Finland? No. In general, no. I don't really know where people get this from. So during autumn, the weather is pretty rainy and glum because it gets dark really quickly. And before we get snow in the southern parts of Finland, it's pretty dark all the time. And so that's the reason why people say that it's gloomy in Finland. But for example, this summer was really beautiful. The weather was really nice. It was warm. It wasn't too warm. We had like 25 degrees Celsius, which is really, really nice. The sun was shining most of the summer, which was really cool, especially since people had to be outside. And during winter, if the winter is really, really nice, we will have like from, let's say, minus 10 degrees Celsius to minus 25 and a lot of snow. I love the fact when you have the weather goes really cold and we have a lot of snow, because then it's easy to put on an appropriate amount of clothes. When it's wet and snowy, it's really crappy because then you're wet all the time and then that means that you're cold. However, I think the weather in Finland is completely fine. Of course, if you come from India or if you come from Southern America, if you come from Africa, for example, it's completely different to what you're used to. But I think it's going to be a really cool experience for you guys. So Daniel saying that he is from Finland, but he was born in Kirjat Ono. But he moved into Finland with his family when he was 1. And his mother is actually a Swedish-speaking Finn. So yeah, this is actually a cool thing to mention. Finland has 2 official languages, so Finnish and Swedish, and both of them are actually taught in school as a mandatory language. Also, when you walk around Finland, you will see that all of the official signs and, for example, official websites are in Finnish and Swedish, and of course, most of them are also in English as well. But this is because Swedish is a official language in Finland. We also have a lot of Swedish, Finnish, Finns, so Finns who speak Swedish as their native tongue. Um, Especially people in the western coast, so on the Swedish coast of Finland, there's a lot of Swedish-speaking Finns there. So if you hear people speaking Swedish in Finland, this is the reason. Let's see. Uh, yeah, Arthur saying that, wow, good to know that public transportation in Finland is cheap. I'll check the video about student benefits later. Thanks. Yeah, it's really cheap, and the thing is that it works really well in Finland, especially compared to like countries like the US, where if you think of like if you for example think about like the west coast in the US, sure you can take the train and you can take the bus, but I would not do it myself. In the US, especially if you don't live like in large cities like LA, or no, actually in LA you will need a car. But if you don't live in the center of like San Francisco or New York, you basically need a car to get along or to move anywhere. In Finland, if you live in a city, you don't need a car necessarily because the public transportation works so well. Hallie asking, are there any courses in English language in Finland? Oh yeah, definitely. If you mean like university degrees, yeah, quite a lot. I would yes. The general answer is yes. There's a lot of English taught university programs in Finland. This is the reason why I have this channel, because I want to teach people about studying in Finland in English, because it's a great opportunity. For medical, for a field in I'm sorry, for a medical field, so studying anything in the field of how do you say it? The question is, for medical field, is a high school diploma enough for admission? For some, yes. For some, no. So you might have to do your SATs as well, depending on the school and the program. Handy Andy asking, how long does it take for me to film a video, just out of curiosity, and also give people some perspective on how much dedication you put in for each video. Really appreciate all of the effort you put in the videos. Thanks so much for the positive feedback. So that's actually an interesting question. As a rule of thumb, it takes me quite a while to actually film a single video. So normally it takes me at least 2 days to just do the research. So I try to be as thorough and as detailed with my videos as possible, because that will bring the most amount of value for you guys. There's also quite a lot of details that I have to really go through, because many of the things that I talk in my videos depend on the school, the degree, and the fact whether you're studying at a university or a university of applied sciences. So taking all of this into account, I have to go through quite a lot of details in order to get my facts straight. And this takes quite a lot of time. Also, because English is not my native tongue, you might have noticed that most of my videos are actually scripted. So I actually have a teleprompter where I read my scripts from. This is because, again, there's so many details that I have to remember correctly. There's a lot of terms that I have to remember correctly, that I have to script out all of my videos. Otherwise, I'm going to miss most of them. This also makes my editing process quite a lot easier, because I make less mistakes. But yeah, basically, it takes me at least 2 days to research and write the script. A lot of the times it can take up to a week. And the filming process itself takes around a day, and then editing another day. So anything from 4 days to 1.5 weeks, basically. This is one of the reasons why these live streams are so nice, because this is more of an open discussion and we can have a dialogue, and it doesn't really require me to prep so much, especially since I have so much information already from making all of these videos back in time. So that's why I think these are live streaming is a really cool content piece, because I don't have to prep so much. We're just having a discussion. Anyways, I really appreciate the positive feedback. Again, you guys are the reason why I was able to go full time in September, because I'm able to put more effort into the videos and get more sponsors. And I'm simply happy if I'm able to help you guys find yourself studying in Finland and actually building a career. I know what a pain in the ass it is to apply to Finland and especially find a job. Uh, I've been before I set up this channel. I spoke with hundreds of international students in Finland, a lot of really good friends of mine, as well as I worked for 4 years in recruitment in the Finnish recruitment market. So I know how difficult many of these things are for you guys. So I really want to help you get the most out of these topics and actually build yourself a life in Finland, because I think we have, not only is Finland one of the best countries in the world to live in, also I absolutely think that we have the best educational system in the world, hands on. Anyhow, let's see. All right, I think we will jump back into the forum because we have a couple of new questions there. The next question comes from Taylor. And the question is, have any of your international friends tried to learn Finnish? If so, how hard did they say it was to learn? I speak some Danish, but Finnish seems completely different from the other Scandinavian countries. Are there many language schools in Helsinki area for internationals? Great questions. Let me break this down one by one. So first of all, do I have any international friends who try to learn Finnish? Yes, I do have a couple of international friends who really put in the effort to learn Finnish. First of all, I have one colleague who I'm working with in our startup, and he's originally from Mexico, and he actually came to Finland chasing a girl, and he is now graduated as a mechanical engineer from Aalto, and he does speak relatively good Finnish. We communicate in English, but he is able to Google in Finnish. He's able to read quite a lot in Finnish, and I really think that he's at a level to which quite few people actually get. Although he has actually been living with this Finnish girl for quite many years now, and he actually did his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering in Finnish, so he was forced to learn Finnish. Again, I don't recommend this because the system back then was a bit different, so it was easier for him. Nowadays, I would not recommend applying to study in Finnish. Then again, this was actually a really, really fun story that I tell quite a lot of people when I meet them. As I mentioned previously in this stream, when I started school, I actually was put into an international tutor group, meaning that we had, I think, 3 Finns and then 5 or 6 international students in the beginning of our studies. And the first international student out of this tutor group that I got to know was a Korean guy from South Korea. And it was so bizarre because he had been in Finland for, I think, 2 months before he came to Finland. I'm sorry, before he started school. And when we met the first time, he actually came to me and introduced himself to me in such fluent Finnish that I actually thought that he was a native Finnish speaker. As it happens to be, he's pretty brilliant. He actually got to, I think he was admitted to study in Harvard, if I remember correctly, and he's pretty brilliant. But he said that Korean and Finnish languages are pretty close, not in pronunciation, but in the grammar. So it was pretty easy for him to learn Finnish. But that was a completely bizarre experience, but because I had never heard anyone speak that fluent Finnish, and he had only been in the country for 2 months. All of the rest of my friends say that learning Finnish is really difficult. The grammar is difficult, and the pronunciation, as you alluded to, is completely different from any of the other Scandinavian languages. So, for example, for you, learning Swedish would be much, much easier. Danish is the weird language in the bunch. So, for example, I used to speak really fluent Swedish in preschool, or in the 7th grade, for example. And I was able to communicate with Norwegian guys because the Norwegian and Swedish are so close. But then again, Danish is completely different. I think that you are still in a better place to learn Finnish than other international students, because you have Danish as your background. There are still some similarities, even though they are different languages. And then about their question, are there many language schools in Helsinki area for internationals? Yes, there are. I would actually not pay for Finnish courses, especially if you study in Finland. Again, I have a video about this. I have a video with the title Top Our Best Free Online Tools to Learn Finnish Before Moving to Finland. I'll post that into the chat as well. So check that out as well. There's a couple of websites, and then there's multiple different apps that actually you can use to study Finnish for free. However, after you have arrived to Finland, I would recommend that you take Finnish as a wait a minute, I recommend that you take as many Finnish language courses at the university as possible, not only because they are free, but also because you can count them towards your degree, the credits, as well as the universities in Finland have the best Finnish language teachers in the world. So basically, you get the highest quality education in Finnish language. You can count them towards your degree, and it's free of charge. So that's what I recommend. All right, next question comes from Topolio. And the question is, are there short additional courses that are allowed for students to take and get maybe certificates or diplomas? That's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't really know what to say. I don't know the answer to that question, unfortunately. I'm sure that that depends on the field. I've never taken any kind of a diploma course or any kind of a certificate course, because I've just been focusing on my business studies. Unfortunately, I don't really have anything else on the topic. The next question comes from Abhimanyu, I'm sorry. And the question is admission in Aalto based on the SATs or high school scores? And is the same admission used for scholarships? All right. So every one of you who wants to get a scholarship, listen up. Scholarships in Finland are applied to with the same application form that you use to apply to the university itself. So, for example, when you apply to study at Aalto University, there is a box in the application form that you have to cross that says, I want to apply for a scholarship. So it's as simple as that. This also means that the scholarships are granted based on the same scores as are used for your admission. So how this works is that when you apply to study in Finland, and for example, you have to do your SATs, all of your SATs, your high school diploma, your CV, your motivation letter, your application assignment, practical assignments, everything is taken into account and scored. And that total score determines whether or not you will get admitted into the school. If you are admitted to study in Finland, the same score is also used to compare all of those students who were admitted to that program, and only the students admitted who have the highest scores in that program will be granted a scholarship. So I hope this clarifies this a bit. So basically, you use the same application form and you use the same application scores to apply to a university as well as the scholarship at the same time. I know this might be a bit confusing, but the reason why this works this way is because scholarships in Finland are are granted by the universities themselves. There's no additional or separate scholarship system that you could use. At least not in general. All right, so the next question comes from Sorab. Glad to have you on the stream as well. And the question is, good to see you, Oliver. Good to see you here. Sorry that I haven't been able to answer all of your questions on LinkedIn and in the comments. I've simply been bombarded with questions in different social media channels. But I'm glad to have you here. So if you have any questions now, please write them in the Google form, and I'll try to answer as many of them as I can. All right. So the question: can I first start working and then study? So to elaborate, can I first come to Finland on a working visa, and afterwards start studies in a Finnish university? As a general rule of thumb, no. If you're not a European Union citizen, that is going to be really difficult for you, because getting a residence permit for work in Finland as a high school graduate without a degree, without a bachelor's or master's degree, is going to be extremely difficult, close to impossible. Actually, we're currently in Finland, we're having a big problem with residence permits, even for master's degree graduates. So, for example, this has been discussed in the news recently, and the problem is that many companies, international companies in Finland, want to recruit international talents because they simply don't have enough talented people, graduates from Finland. And many companies and many company managers have been publicly shaming the Finnish government because the residence permit system for highly educated people who have a master's degree or even a doctoral degree, it's so stiff and it takes such a long time that a lot of companies lose super talented people to other companies because we're not able to get the residence permits done. So considering that it's already difficult to get a working visa, a residence permit based on work in Finland as a master's or even a PhD graduate, it is going to be nearly impossible for you to get a residence permit for work as a high school graduate. In addition, you would need to have a job in Finland before you can even apply for the residence permit. So no. The short, realistic answer is no. Apply to study in Finland first. And again, the same thing here. Do well in high school and study really, really hard for your SATs and the other application tests, if you have any, in order for you to get, so that you would be granted a scholarship. This is the best way to do it. Next question comes from Kaustav. Awesome to have you here as well. It's been a while, and you were starting school this semester at Aalto at Advanced Energy Solutions. That sounds so interesting. I would really like to hear more about the program. Question is, any information if this next semester will be online as well? Any insider information? I guess that you have subscribed to the Aalto University newsletter. So you have the same information as I do as well. So currently it looks like at least the next semester is at least going to be partially online. Hopefully not fully, as it is at this point, basically. But taking into account the situation with COVID at this point in time, it's not looking too good. So especially because there were multiple spikes and clusters of infections at universities because of the start of the semester parties that many student organizations organized. It is not looking that good. However, I do want to note, especially I don't remember if you were in Finland already. If you're still in India, I would still recommend that you come to Finland to study the next semester because our day-to-day lives are not that highly impacted by the current situation. So you can freely go and use the restaurant. You can eat at restaurants. You can go to bars. You can go and shop. The only thing is that we don't have a mask mandate, but we have a high mask recommendation, especially in public transportation. It's just for your own good and for others as well. The only bigger restrictions are that bars and restaurants have to close, I think, at midnight, at least for now, because they have become clusters of infections because people get drunk and then they don't care about social distancing, and then the COVID gets to spread freely. But yeah, I doubt that we are going to be fully in. I doubt that we will be doing a fully in-person teaching next semester, but I really hope that we're not going to be fully online either. The next question comes from Jad Kabal, and he comes from Pakistan and applying in the next application period, and specifically looking to do a BBA, so Bachelors in Business Administration. And there's a couple of questions. I'm back. I'm sorry, there's no question, but rather a comment. I'm back to help you pronunciate my name. I'm sorry, I'm back to help you pronounce with your pronunciation. So trying to help me. Try to pronounce this. Pakistan ki maan ki chhoot. I'm getting better. Pakistan ki maan ki chhoot. Pakistan ki maan ki. Okay, Pakistan ki maan ki chhoot. And then there's second. Pakistan ki maan ka posta. Posta. Pakistan ki maan ka posta. Did I get close? I'm getting better. That I know. Let me know if I'm getting better at all. All right. So the next question comes from Sorab, and the question is: actually, I don't have a lot of money to study in university, but it's my dream to study here in Finland. And is there any options to study there with smaller costs, basically, without a scholarship? No. There are different universities in Finland. Aalto University is, of course, one of the most expensive ones. I know that the University of Helsinki has some programs that are even more expensive than Aalto University. So as context, a bachelor's degree at Aalto University costs 12,000 euros per year, and a master's degree costs 15,000 euros per year. So in total, that's 66,000 euros for the entire degree if you do both your bachelor's and your master's at Aalto University. So it's really expensive. There are cheaper universities in Finland. However, they're all in the tens of thousands if you consider the entire degree. So their best chance is to get a scholarship. Honestly, try to get a scholarship, which means that you have to study hard for your high school and then you have to study really hard for your SATs. It is possible. It is definitely possible to do. You just have to study hard. The next question is, do we get degrees from open university courses? And the difference between Open University of Applied Sciences and normal university courses / degrees. So in Finland, we have something called Open University. So meaning that there's Finnish universities offer university courses for basically anyone. Doesn't matter if you have been admitted to the university. If you are not a student of that university, these Open University courses will cost money. They're not expensive, but they will still cost something. But the question is, can you get a degree by doing just Open University courses? No, you cannot. You have to do a degree at a university or a University of Applied Sciences. However, some universities actually have a application process where if you do enough courses at a University if you do enough courses at a open university with very high grades, you could actually get admitted through that path. However, I don't remember the exact details. You would have to look at different schools and different programs, and if it's even possible for international students. I'm not sure. Next, we have a question from Andrea, sorry. And the question is, how many ECTS credits is one class usually? Every school mentions a minimum of 60 ECTS per academic year to be qualified to apply for scholarships, but I can't picture how much is 60 ECTS. Thanks. That's a good question. So let me actually go to the University of Helsinki website. Let's see. So the University of Helsinki has this actually written on their website pretty well. Just let me find the right page. All right, so here you go. So the question is, how much ECTS credits is one class? So depending on the school, you usually have different courses. So at the School of Business, we basically have two type of courses. Courses that are worth 3 ECTS credits, and those are usually language courses and courses that take less effort or less time. I'm sorry. And then we have courses that are 6 credits. Those are basically all your like major program courses and like big courses that actually take quite a lot of effort. However, this is the way the University of Helsinki defines the whole topic. So credits measure progress in studies. The number of credits earned depends on the scope and requirements of each course. However, one credit corresponds to approximately 27 hours of work. So for example, if you have a course that is 6 credits, that means that you have to do approximately 162 hours of work for that course. Of course, these can vary quite a bit depending on the students, but this is an approximated amount. And this is actually statistic. This actually is pretty accurate if you look at the statistics and research. The scope of a bachelor's degree is 180 credits, while the scope of a master's degree is 120 credits. In total, the 2 degrees require a completion of 300 credits. When distributed over the target duration of 5 years, this means the completion of 60 credits per year. You can receive financial... Never mind, that doesn't apply to you. So to give you even more context, for example, so if you think about like you have to do 60 credits per year, you have 5 periods per year. So 2 terms and 5 periods per year. Two terms per... I'm sorry, okay. You have to do at least 60 credits per year. And per year, we have 2 terms, autumn term and spring term. The autumn term has 2 periods, each of which is 6 weeks long. And the spring term has 3 periods, again, each of which is 6 weeks long. So if you divide 60 credits per year by 5 periods, you get 12 credits. So this means that you have to do at least 2 courses that are worth 6 credits per period. So per 6 weeks. 2 courses that are worth 6 credits is a good pace. You can do more without burning out. But if you do less, then you will basically have plenty of time to spare. So basically 12 credits per 6 weeks or per period is the normative pace. So I hope that answered the question at least somehow. I know that the systems are pretty different from between the Finland and US. The next question again comes from Sorab about the job situation. So can't we do a simple job like in restaurants and all, etc. after high school? And I guess that if I'm selected for a job, then I can actually come to Finland with a working visa. Um, yeah, no. Uh, if you get, no one is going to hire you into a job at a restaurant, like for example, unless you are a chef. But no one is going to hire you or even consider you to a job at a restaurant or a bar if you don't already have, if you all don't already live in Finland, because there's plenty of people who want to work at those jobs. They don't, these companies don't want to go through the hassle of trying to get you a residence permit based on a work. So no. And considering that you need to have a job before you get a residence permit to work in Finland, it's simply not possible if you have like these kind of basic level jobs. Simply isn't possible. Again, apply to study in Finland first. That's the way to go. Next question comes from Kaustav. Then the question is, do you think the pandemic will foster a change in the job market for foreign nationals? It's really hard to say. I would actually say that the entire job market is going to see some kind of a change. I don't think that it's going to impact international students specifically. And it's really difficult to extremely difficult to say at this point how the job market is going to play out in the future. One of the big impacts for students has been, especially this year, was that the lack of summer jobs. So of course, because the summer was the worst time for COVID this year, that meant that a huge portion, like the majority of summer jobs for students, were cancelled. So for example, I know a bunch of people who were studying their masters in business, and they had to go working in. They had to apply to the work at a farm picking up strawberries. It's actually a really cool summer job, but it's something that people would absolutely not apply to if they have an option to do something else, especially if you're studying a master's degree. So the situation this summer for summer jobs, both for international students as well as Finnish students, was absolutely horrendous. And I really hope that the next year is going to be different. Do note that companies have already been able to change the way they function and the way they work, especially online. So I'm sure that many, especially big companies, have been able to adapt by the time that they start recruiting people for the next summer. So I really, really, really hope that this is the case, but it's hard to say. But I have to say that I don't think it's going to necessarily impact specifically international students, but it's going to impact everyone. Next question comes from Arthur. And the question is: Do you think if it's a good idea to rent a shared apartment from HOAS or AYY as an international student? I mean, are shared apartments always cheaper than studios? Yes, they are. Shared apartments are always cheaper than studios. Studios, so basically meaning that you live there alone and they're usually one room apartments. You most likely have your own bathroom and a kitchen. They're the most expensive type of student apartment in Finland. And shared apartments are always cheaper. A lot of people like living in a shared apartment with a roommate. Some people hate it. I've never actually lived in a shared apartment myself, but I have a lot of friends who have, and they have half of them have liked it, half of them have hated it. Depends on the roommate, basically. Because if you don't get along, then that's gonna be a nightmare, I guess. If you get along, it might be extremely fun, a lot of fun. Out of curiosity, do you believe that it is affordable to travel around Europe from Finland? Yes, it is affordable to travel around Europe from Finland as a student. So students, I've mentioned in my videos that as a student in Finland, you can get a international student card, which also makes you eligible to get a student discount on international train tickets. And for example, you can get these monthly train tickets around Europe, and those are really cheap. You can also get some discounts with airlines as a student, but they're not always that much cheaper. But I'd say that it's definitely cheap to travel in Europe, especially since you are already inside of Europe. The most expensive part for people, for example, from India or from the US or from South America is to fly into Europe. And after that, it's really cheap to travel around, especially like in the Central European area. All right. Thank you for the comment. You actually also had a bit of feedback. I do appreciate it. I will make that change for the next stream, definitely. The next question comes from Arif, who is from Bangladesh and has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, and is interested in a bachelor's degree in marketing. So, and the question is, what is the highest or the largest valued scholarship that a student can get, and how easy are they to get? Some universities have a scholarship that covers 100% of your tuition fee. The absolute clear majority of scholarships do not cover your living costs. So there are a very few amount of scholarships around for some universities in Finland that also cover your living costs, but they are so rare that I would not even try to consider them. So no matter what, you have to pay your living expenses yourself, your rent, groceries, and stuff. Some universities, however, like Aalto University, do offer a 100% tuition fee waiver or scholarship that covers your tuition fee throughout your degree, so bachelor's and master's. However, those scholarships are only granted to the best of the best of the best of the applicants. The universities in Finland do not publish the information of how many scholarships like this there are, and they do not publish information of what are the minimum requirements to get them. So it's really hard to say. However, I can say that only the best applicants will be granted scholarships. So if you want to get a scholarship, especially if you want to get a 100% scholarship, you need to do really well with your application. That's basically everything that I can say about this, because I don't have any specific information. Just a second, guys. I will change the battery in my camera before it runs out, and then I will jump into the next question. All right, there we go. Do we have audio? We have audio. Awesome. If we jump really quickly into the chat, Arjun was actually asking, as an international student, after graduation, will I be able to get a visa to be able to find a job in Finland? Yes. So after you graduate from a Finnish university or University of Applied Sciences, you can actually apply for a residence permit to look for a job. I think that lasts for 1 year, during which you have to find a job. Afterwards, you might have to apply for a new residence permit, or it's not completely sure if you will be granted one. Let me pull that out for you so you can actually look for the specific information or the details. So it's called an extended permit to look for a job. So what the Finnish Immigration Service states the following. Apply for a residence permit with this application if you need an extended permit to look for a job or to start a business and you do not yet have a job after graduation. You need to have a valid residence permit for studies or for scientific research in order to apply for this extended permit. So you have to apply for this extended permit before your residence permit for your studies expires. So I'll have this website linked in the chat in just a second. There we go. Awesome. Let's jump into the next question, which comes from Sorab. And the question is, if we get into a non-degree university course, can we get a student visa and student card and a pass to all student facilities? No, you cannot. So again, if we're talking about open university courses, you have to be admitted to a institution of higher learning, which means a university or a university of applied sciences, in order for you to get a residence permit based on your studies. Open university courses are basically just open courses for everyone. They are not a path to a degree. You are not a university student if you take those courses. Thus, you do not get a residence permit and you don't get the student benefit that comes with being a active student in Finland. Next, we have a question from Arv. And the question is, the scope for nanotechnology and nanoelectronics in Finland. Would you please elaborate a bit more on the question? What do you mean with the question? I cannot really... It's a pretty wide topic, so I cannot really answer your question unless I know what do you mean specifically. However, if we're talking about nanotechnology and nanoelectronics at Aalto University, I am not familiar with that major. I just recommend that you go to Aalto University websites and look up the program website where they have more specific information on this topic. There's 100 different programs at Aalto University, and I simply don't remember all of them by heart, unfortunately. So sorry, I cannot really help you with this, at least not live. The next question comes from Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu asks, bro, it's very impressive to see you doing such a long live stream on your channel and helping us. I actually have a meeting in 2 hours, or in an hour and a half, and so I'm killing time with you guys. I'm glad to help, so it's really cool to be here. I really appreciate your work. You're helping us so much. You're welcome. Next up, we have a question from Nagar Yuna, who also comes from India and is applying to study in Finland in the next application period, specifically interested in Aalto University and the program of automation and electrical engineering. That is a really good program. Graduates from that degree program have really good career prospects. And for example, our startup, we're actually currently in need of an automation engineer. So a lot of technology-based startups and companies are hiring a bunch of automation and electrical engineering. And if you want a recommendation into the subject or your major that you should maybe consider studying within that program, I really recommend that you, if you're interested, of course, you should take as many courses in robotics as possible and automation, because those are growing fields in Finland, and they have quite a lot of job opportunities for people there. Mahatmir, yes, there are plenty of opportunities for business graduates in Finland. Basically, if you want to get a guaranteed job, then in that case, I would say that do a business degree in Finland. Of course, you have to know what you're doing. You have to have good grades in order to get a job, even as an international student. However, there's plenty of job opportunities for all business student graduates. And actually in Finland, specifically business students have the best employment numbers after graduation compared to everyone else. Anyhow, the question from Nagaryuna, what are the requirements or questions which need to be answered while writing a motivation letter and a scholarship letter? I tried to search on Aalto website, but couldn't find any. Right. The reason that you didn't find any answer to these questions is because they don't want to give you the answers to those questions. The motivation letter is basically one of the biggest questions for all college and university applicants around the world. No one ever knows what you have to write there. And there's a lot of consultants telling you what to write there. I don't know how to help you. But what I would recommend you to consider is that Aalto University has thousands of applicants to their different programs. As the highest ranking university in Finland, they can afford to choose only the best applicants for themselves. This means that they want to get students who are not only going to do well in school, but who also want to do a successful career in Finland, who are going to increase Aalto University's rankings internationally, and who are also willing to contribute into the Aalto University or Aalto community. What I would think of if I would be writing a motivation letter is, why am I the best student to be admitted to Aalto University? How will I contribute to Aalto University and the overall Aalto community? What are my career aspirations in Finland specifically? And what motivates me to apply to Finland? Especially considering that you come from India, from far away. What is it that drives me to come to Finland? Why do I want to build a career in Finland? In addition, you have to think about things that differentiate you personally from other applicants. What are some of the things that you have done in your life? What are some of your career aspirations, or what are some of your hobbies maybe that differentiate you from other people? It's a competition, so you have to try to make yourself look better than other people, right? So I'm sorry, I really cannot give you any more specific information again, because there's no public information about this topic. But these would be the things that I would be considering if I'd had to write a motivation letter. All right, so next question comes from Mike from Canada. Hey, awesome, we have our first Canadian on the stream. Awesome, welcome. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to reach more of you guys previously. It's awesome to have you here. I hope you're enjoying the stream, and I hope that you're getting value out of this stream as well. Mike has not decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland. I will try to give you reasons why you should. However, he's interested in Aalto University School of Chemical Engineering, and specifically the degree in biochemistry. Yes, absolutely you should apply to study biochemistry at Aalto. I will not even answer your question. Before I answer your question, I'm going to have a little rant about this topic. Finland is on the top of the world in biochemistry and different fields and research related to this field. There's a huge amount of different companies that are emerging, especially from biochemistry and material sciences. And we are actually one of the leading countries in the world developing new plastic composites that are wood-based. Finland is a nation that has exported wood around the world, and it's one of our biggest exports across the history of Finland. Since the demand for paper is decreasing heavily, we have had to find new ways to utilize our massive forests that we have in Finland. And there's multiple different companies and really successful startups that have gathered a huge amount of financing during the recent years that are specializing in these different material composites. And these companies require people who are specialized in biochemistry, biology, material sciences, and other hard sciences. And especially as a Canadian from a country that is almost as forest as that has as much forest as Finland, I'm sure you would be welcome here as well. Kidding aside, there's so many different companies doing this. In addition, there's a couple of really interesting companies working on basically alternatives for protein-based materials or foods. For example, there's this really interesting company called Solar Foods, which is basically trying to create protein out of thin air. This is their slogan. And they have a patented system that they use to create protein powder basically out of water and using some kind of microbial life forms. And these guys are looking for hard scientists, people who have knowledge in hard sciences, chemistry, again, biochemistry, material sciences. So I think that you would have really good career prospects if you came to Finland and you did your degree here. So I really, really, really recommend that you look into Aalto and apply there if it seems interesting. And the question is, do you know anything about, or do you have any experience with the Aalto AS or Aalto Entrepreneurship Society? Yes, I do. One of my biggest regrets, if you take into account the entire 8 years that I've been at Aalto, is that I have never been active at Aalto ES. So for everyone of you guys, Aalto University has one of the most active entrepreneurial communities, not only in Finland, but all of Europe. And for example, the most important startup event in the entire world, called Slush, actually originated from Aalto University students. And nowadays it's an event that is held every year in November in Finland. This year, of course not this year, but it draws over 20,000 entrepreneurs, investors, and members of media to Helsinki in the middle of November to a two-day event. And Aalto ES was basically one of the brains behind this event. And Aalto ES has been one of the most important organizations and communities behind the current startup environment that we have in Finland. And the entire country is basically has to be grateful for Aalto ES because they started the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem and activity that we have seen during the last 10 years. And it has ended into hundreds of successful companies and hundreds of millions, if not even billions of dollars coming in as investments into Finland. So if you are interested in entrepreneurship, Aalto ES is the place it is the one organization where you have to become an active member of if you come to study at Aalto University, period. There's so many different other branches of this startup community that have started from Aalto ES, but Aalto ES is like they're the devil. They basically started everything. Really good question. Basically nowadays they organize a bunch of really interesting and really well-organized events that have huge impact on the Finnish startup ecosystem. All right, next question comes from Sorab. All right, so first question is how much... All right, let's see. So what kind of a scholarship can I get if I have, if I am in the 90th, so basically the highest percentile in high school, so 90 or 95 out of 100% in high school? Just as an approximation, I cannot say. I simply cannot say. If you are done extremely good in high school, you still have to do really well in your SATs or any other application tests in order for you to get a scholarship and get admitted. Having done really well in high school will have a really good positive impact on your application, but in itself, it's not enough. It's not enough by itself. So if I have an open school certificate, like of a different board than CBSE, will the high school certificate work to apply? Unfortunately, I don't understand the question because I don't know what this kind of open school certificate means. Sorry, I don't know what to say here. All right, so next question comes from Hugh. from UK. Awesome to have you here as well. I think this is the first question from you on the live streams. Awesome to have you have the UK represented as well. Hugh is applying to study at Aalto in the next application period that starts this December, and he's specifically interested in finance. And the question is are international internships or semesters a common thing in Aalto in Finland? Yes and no. Most people just end up doing an internship in Finland, especially if you consider like doing finance. Most of the big financial institutions, companies, management consultant companies, McKinsey & Company, Goldman, all of them have branches in Finland. So a lot of people actually go and do an internship at the Finnish branch first, and then they go and do a internship, for example, in the UK, in London, or for example, in New York. Some people actually go there as well. However, it has to be pointed out that since Finland is a small country, only a few people from Aalto University Business School are hired to do these international internships, especially at McKinsey and Goldman every single year. Usually there's only one or two people who get recruited. However, there's a bunch of different consultancy companies, financial companies, investment companies in Finland where you can do internships, and those are really, really good in your CV. So you don't necessarily have to do an international internship. If you want to do, sure, go ahead. Of course, absolutely. There's nothing that stops you from doing that. However, what I want to point out, what is something that is a bit different from with Finland in regards of UK and for example in the States, specifically in the field of finance and business in general, is that while in the UK and for example, especially in the States, people usually do their bachelors first. Then they go and do a couple of years of work in their field in between, and then they go and do their masters. This is a bit different in Finland because this is a cultural thing most of all, but it still is. This is because of the Finnish culture, but it still applies nowadays. So in Finland, when we get admitted to a university, for example, Aalto University, to do a bachelor's degree, you are automatically admitted to do a master's as well. This means that most people, when they have graduated as bachelors, the next day they start doing their master's courses. So people don't really go and work for a couple of years or even a year in between the degrees. People do work part-time, they do work summer jobs, they do internships, but it might actually be regarded even a bit negatively if you don't continue with your degree directly after your bachelor's. Of course, having that work experience is golden. It's really good to have. But if you want to go like the normal route that we do in Finland, is do your bachelor's and then do your master's right away after. And every single summer during your bachelor's, do a summer job or an internship. And then when you get into your master's, start applying for part-time jobs that you can do alongside your studies. And then that means that when you actually apply, that means that when you graduate as Masters in Finance from Aalto University, you don't have to look for a job because you will already have a job in your field in a good company. And it will not even be a junior position because you have already done all of these jobs. So you could, for example, apply for associates or as an associate or even something higher. You don't have to start from the bottom up, right? If you get what I mean. So I hope that this helped and answered your question. Next question comes from Taylor. Any letters of recommendation? Are letters of recommendation a necessary component in application processes for master's studies? If not, can I still submit them? Absolutely, yes, you can, and they will definitely have a positive impact on your application, even if they're not required. When you apply for a master's, I think most of the degrees that I've seen do require they do not require, but they have, it is specifically mentioned that they will have a positive impact on your studies. However, especially since you're interested in climate sciences, aka hard sciences, I would seek a letter of recommendation from your professor, not from your employer. Because in the world of academics, especially in Finland, letters of recommendations from a professor or from an academic is more highly regarded than compared to, for example, your old boss. I don't know the exact reason, but I think it's pretty logical. Having a letter of recommendation from your professor and, for example, in addition from your boss, it's of course going to be really, really cool and good, and you can get multiple. You can, of course, get multiple letters of recommendation. No one is stopping you from doing that. And yeah. All right. Actually, we're getting quite a lot of questions right now. So sorry, I haven't been able to note anyone in the chat for a while. I will do one more question and then I will jump into the chat for just a second. The next question comes from Micho, who comes from Bulgaria and applying in the next application period. And specifically interested in Helsinki or Turku. And would like to study English and specifically a degree in English education. The question is, does student housing come with a vacuum cleaner, iron, etc., or do we need to buy and rent these yourself? No, they do not. So there are some student apartments that come furnished, but this includes a bed, a table. Some very rare student apartments might have a dishwasher, but of course you would have, like a fridge, a table, a bed, a closet, a couple of cabinets, but no like appliances, except of a refrigerator, a fridge, maybe not necessarily even a microwave oven. Yeah. Also note that most student apartments actually come unfurnished, so they will not even have a bed or like a table or a desk. The next question comes from I'm sorry. I'm getting a bit tired, losing focus, so just a second. I will jump to the chat for a moment. Gustav saying, Oliver, people are messing with you, let's move forward, lol. Yeah, I actually haven't even noticed any of the chat, any of the messages in the chat for a while, so don't worry about it. Arjun, awesome to see you here as well. Yusuf as well. Who haven't I noted? Arif, awesome to have you here as well. I think I answered your question already. Mahatmir, awesome to have you here. JK, how are you? I'm actually doing pretty well. It's been a long day. I actually have an interview with an American guy in 1 hour. It's going to be on YouTube in maybe a couple of months. It's actually for YouTube. So I'm just waiting for the interview to start. I have to reconfigure everything before that, but that's why I'm staying up so late. Antonio, awesome to have you here as well. Hope you are doing awesome. It's really cool to have you here. This stream is actually really, really long, so I'm really nice that you are here live. Ariuna asking if it's apple juice. No, I'd say this is grape juice. It's grape juice. It's really good. It's actually from a Finnish company, and it's really, really nice. Cheers, Oliver. Jake is saying, cheers, let's have a break and relax. Yeah, I'm trying to get myself back together. I might actually get another drink from the fridge in just a second. Let's see, who else do we have here live? We have actually had quite a lot of people here live, which is really cool. Oh, Antonio is asking or saying, I have an idea for a future video. Can you do a Q&A video about your personal life? Yeah, sure, maybe. If you guys are interested in that. I'm not sure if all of the subscribers are really interested in that, especially at this point. There's so many other topics to cover. However, I actually might do that kind of a Q&A video in the Discord server. So if you guys haven't yet joined the Discord server that I set up last week, the idea of the server is to build a community of people who are interested in studying and building their careers in Finland. And in the server, I, of course, post updates about my future videos and live streams. For example, if I have any problems with the live stream, let's see, I will post a update there. But also I have more personal dialogue with people. People can send me DMs, and we have a couple of channels where we can have discussions about the different topics that I cover on the channel. So if you haven't yet joined the server, I will have the invite link in the chat right now. So use that in order to get to the server. I would really love to have you all there. Thanks also. See you next time. Awesome to have you here for such a long time. I will see you next week. Nimeni on Glory Ann. I'm doing my online classes now since I'm unable to travel to Finland due to the pandemic. Yeah, I've actually heard that quite a lot of people are actually staying in their home countries right now and doing their classes online because they don't want to move to Finland because, of course, it costs quite a lot of money to live here compared to living at home. So I think that's a good idea for now. I would still want to recommend that you consider moving to Finland for the next semester, because even though you have to do the school online, at least mostly, our day-to-day lives here in Finland haven't really been impacted that much by the current second wave. We don't have that many restrictions. People are wearing face masks. The only thing is that the restaurants and bars have to close up quite early because when people get drunk, they forget about getting or social distancing, and that's not good. The numbers are going up all the time, but our healthcare system is doing really well, at least during the second wave, because they learned a lot during the first wave. And of course, here is one of the benefits of the Finnish public healthcare system, because we have a general public healthcare system, and the private system is also collaborating and working with the public system. They're working really seamlessly, and it works really, really well. I've myself been tested once, or I got myself tested once because I got a flu. I got a test really quickly. It cost some money because I got it from the private sector, but it was really fast. The results came in really fast. I was negative, so that was fine. But I think that if next semester is going to be mostly held online, I would still recommend that you consider coming to Finland, because you can still travel. You can do a lot of fun things. You can get to know the country while being here, because the day-to-day lives are being pretty normal. All right, so oops, sorry. There you go. All right, let's get back into the one more thing about the chat. JK saying also make videos about how is life during the winter for people who are from a country which have warm climates compared to Finland. Yeah, definitely I will do a couple of these kind of living in Finland type of videos as we get a bit further in the autumn. Currently, the weather is really warm. It's almost summer warm. It's abnormally warm currently for autumn, for October, like 15, 20 degrees Celsius, and the sun is shining. Climate change. It's really changing the way things are. Anyhow, I'll just quickly get a new drink from the fridge and get back into the form. Just a second. All right. Cool. All right. So the next question comes from Nagarjuna, who comes from India and is applying in the next application period. And again, he's applying to Aalto and specifically to the program of automation and electrical engineering. And the question is, bro, I have 5 years of work experience as a design engineer, and the reason for me choosing Aalto is because the course content is absolutely outstanding, and I would like to expand my career in the field of solar in European market. Hey, I actually think that you had a question about this in the Discord server. Am I correct? Because I gave some tips to someone in the Discord server about this specific topic. So what I said is that Finland is growing in. There's a lot of Finnish companies working on renewable technologies, and solar is one of those big markets that we're working on. And especially because you have already quite a lot of experience as an engineer, specifically design engineer, in this field, you're going to do really well. Aalto University has an excellent program in automation and electrical engineering, and I can just put my hand on my heart and say that you will have excellent career prospects after graduating in Finland, and you should have no problems in getting part-time jobs in Finnish companies during your studies, especially considering your professional background. So that's really cool. Hello, Astronira. Welcome to the stream. Awesome to have you here. Just to let you know, if you have any questions that you would like me to answer live about studying or working in Finland, I have a link to Google form in the description box. I have a Google form linked into the description box below. So if you have any questions that you would like me to answer live, please post your question into the Google form so that I can answer them on a first come, first serve basis. The next question also comes from Nagarjuna, and the question is, do Aalto consider PTE scores, or do I need to write SAT exams? That depends on the program that you're applying to. I don't remember what the exact requirements are for the Masters in Electrical Engineering, so please, if you can just bear with me for a moment, I will look it up. So Master Program in Automation and Electrical Engineering, let's see. Just a moment. All right, so there's quite a lot of information here that I cannot simply go through during the live stream. But please go ahead and go through the application page that I'm going to link into the chat in just a second, so that you will get the specific information from there. All right. So there you go. I think that should do it. Yeah, I have the link to the Master's Program in Automation and Electrical Engineering in the chat, so go ahead and check out the details from there. All right, next question comes from JK. I'm sorry, before that, Astronira, awesome to have you in the Discord server. I'm really glad. Read through the rules and then write something really short about yourself. I really love to get to know you guys, and there's quite a lot of people there, already. And if you have any questions about any of the topics that I cover in this channel, please post them in any of the videos or in the Discord server. I'm actually using the server to collect questions, and I will make dedicated videos from frequently asked questions that are asked in the Discord server. So that's kind of one of the benefits of being a member of the community there. Shahed Islam bro say something about Kokkola city. I've never been to Kokkola, so I cannot really say anything about it. I've heard that it's an okay city. I cannot really say anything. I have no personal experience. Anyways, the question from JK is, how's student life for students in the winter? That's an interesting question. Not that different from during the summer. People are inside a bit more, but we have quite a lot of fun winter activities. People go skiing in Lapland quite a lot. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Depending on the city. In Helsinki, if we don't have any snow, it's really crappy because it's dark all the time. But the second you go a bit more north, like 100 or 200 kilometers a bit more north, it's guaranteed that you guys will have snow during the winter. So it should be really lovely there. If you have any more specific questions, just post them in the forum again, and I'll definitely give you a more specific answer. Next question comes from Nagarjuna. The question is, are you going to save this recording in YouTube? Because I missed the start of the session. Yes. All of my live streams that do not end in a disaster or technical difficulties are going to be saved for YouTube for a replay. After I end the stream, it's going to take some time for YouTube to process the stream. So I would recommend that you come back tomorrow to check the entire stream. But yeah, I had some technical difficulties in the beginning. I basically tried to get this stream started like 3 times. I had to redo it multiple times before my internet started working, which is always nice. And one more question from Nakarjuna. I have completed my bachelor's in 2008, and I don't have I don't have any communications with my university. Right. So should I still need to provide recommendations from my professors, or can I provide any reference letters from my current employer as who I'm working for now? Oh yeah, definitely. You can definitely get a letter of recommendation from your current employer. Absolutely. The thing is that universities, I remember Aalto University specifically stating that they prefer getting a letter of recommendation from your professor. But of course, if you have completed your previous degree 12 years ago, they are going to understand this. And it is even likely that specific professor is not necessarily even working at that university nowadays. So of course, they're going to understand. So if you are able to get a letter of recommendation from your current boss, that's awesome. I'm sure that's going to be seen as a positive. Again, I'm not 100% sure because I have never worked in these admission teams. So I cannot say for sure, but I have a gut feeling that this should be the case. At least I think this would be logical, I think. All right, so we have all right, so we have our first spam accounts in the chat. Just let me block them right away. There you go. By the way, if you guys ever notice that there's any harassment or any kind of messaging in the chat or in the comments of the videos, or for example in the Discord server, please let me know and I will immediately ban and report those spam profiles from our channels. I don't bear them at all. Let's see. All right, we're currently out of questions in the forum, so I'll just jump into the chat, and then I actually think that I will end for today. Shahed Islam saying, bro, I got an offer from Centria University. Congratulations. I would say that you should definitely accept the offer. if the program is something that you are interested in. That is really, really cool. Mm. Also, say something about part-time jobs for international students in different cities uh, than in Helsinki. It's really difficult to say. Of course, Helsinki as the capital has the most jobs. It's natural. Um, but the job opportunities in other cities should be as good as in Helsinki, or not as good as in Helsinki, but you should have the same kind of job opportunities in other cities as well, especially considering part-time jobs. Like other cities have restaurants, they have grocery stores, they have clothing stores, they have different shops where you can apply to as a shop clerk, for example, or a cashier. So if you need a job as a new student in Finland, especially if you're doing a bachelor's and you don't have prior work experience in your field, I would recommend that you apply for these kind of service sector jobs. And the best way to apply for them is by printing out your CV, updating your CV, printing it out, putting on your walking shoes and nice clothes, and simply walking into every single store, bar, and restaurant in your city and asking for a store manager or a restaurant manager and asking whether, or I'm sorry, introducing yourself politely, telling about your situation, that you're a student here, you're studying this and this and this, you're studying this and this at that and that university, and then simply asking whether or not they would have something open for a part-time employee. You're going to get a lot of no's, not only because some jobs will require you to speak Finnish, but also because a lot of places will not have open positions. But this is also expected, and the more places you walk through, the more chances you are of finding a place where they actually have something open. So I think this is the best bet for students who are in the early stages of their studies and have no prior work experience and don't speak Finnish at all. Joe, welcome to the live stream once again. Awesome to have you here. Joe saying that this Saturday I'll be taking the SAT subjective test to apply for the bachelor's program in Finland. Awesome, dude. Good luck. I'm rooting for you. Keeping my fingers crossed. You're gonna do excellent because you have been doing a lot of work for your SATs. So I wish you all of the luck and let me know how it goes. Arthur saying, "Hey Joe, good luck." Specifically, or absolutely yes, good luck and boa sorte. I guess is Portuguese. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Boa sorte. Boa sorte. No, that's Spanish. Valeu manin. Valeu manin. I don't know why I pronounce it like in Italian. Faisal Ahmed asking how possible is it to find a part-time job to manage tuition fees and living costs? Again, this depends on you personally, your previous experience, whether you're applying for a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. It depends on the job that you're looking for. It depends on the company you're looking for. It depends on the job market itself. So, for example, currently the job market is really bad because of COVID, especially in the restaurant business. Actually, thousands of Finnish restaurant workers are currently negotiating for their jobs because the restaurant business is doing so badly in Finland because of COVID. So it's really difficult to say. As a general rule, it's difficult to find a job in Finland as an international student, and even if you find something once you are admitted, you should not rely on your job and your salary in order to pay for your tuition as well as your living costs, because your tuition plus your living costs are going to be so expensive that even if you get a part-time job at a good service or a good company, you will most likely not be able to make enough money to pay both for your tuition and your living costs. It's simply not realistic. So you have to figure out a way to pay for your tuition and then figure out whether or not you could maybe pay for your living costs by working. You're welcome, Shahed. It's really cool to hear that you're actually getting value. Plus, actually, tell me, uh, not sure if Shahed Islam is your or your real and full name, but actually, if it is Shahed your um, first name, and do I actually pronounce it correctly? I would I would love to know. Last word for from myself, Antonia, saying keep up the good work and thank you for the stream. Join the Discord server already. Awesome to see. Awesome. Uh, see you there till next. Awesome to have you in the Discord. Awesome to have you in the community. Thank you for the kind words. I do appreciate them. Oh, Arthur is saying that boa sorte is good luck. Right, that one I figured out, and good pronunciation. But is it boa sorte or is it boa sorte? No, that's Italian again. Boa sorte. I know that Portuguese is extremely hard to pronounce. I studied a couple of years for of Spanish, but I know that the pronunciation is completely different, so most likely going to mess up. Anyhow, guys, I have one more question in the form from Nagarjuna, and then I'm going to end for today. I have to prep for my YouTube interview that starts in half an hour, and I first have to make a cup of coffee because I'm going to fall asleep if I don't do it. So Nagarjuna asking, do Aalto provide any support in finding part-time jobs in solar or anything at all? And would professors support students in building professional networks in finding jobs? And would I need to know Finnish language in finding job in the solar field? All right, let's take that first. So, do you need to learn Finnish language in order to find a job in the field of solar technology? Absolutely not. This field is so specialized that this field is heavily reliant on international talent. There might be some companies that have Finnish as their official language, but my guess, and actually from my experience working at a recruitment company that actually hired people for these kind of companies, is that English is the working language in many of these companies, specifically because these companies are very international and they have an international team. So no, you do not need Finnish in order to apply for these kind of jobs, especially with your background and with your experience. If a Finnish employer is dumb enough to decline you because you don't speak Finnish, then they don't deserve you because that means that they're stupid. If Finnish companies get highly skilled, highly educated, international talents applying for their jobs, specifically with prior work experience, if the companies at this point requires you to speak Finnish, if there's really no reason to demand it, they are, I'm sorry, beep, they're stupid, and I think that they don't deserve you, and there will be other companies that will gladly have you and pay you well and not require Finnish language skills. Second, would professors support students in building professional networks and finding jobs? I'm sure they will. One of the problems, this is kind of a two-edged sword. Actually, at Aalto University, there was this kind of a scandal a couple of years back where in the School of Arts and Design, apparently professors were giving specific students recommendations when applying to work at certain companies, and especially in the field of arts and design, it's heavily competitive, and there's a lot of international competitions where Aalto University students have done really well. And there's this really big scandal because what the professors did, basically they recommended specific students, but the kind of the overall the general public saw this as like nepotism, but of course they're not family. But basically, they saw this as professor doing favors for specific students that they like, and this is why some of the professors are really hesitant on giving like personal favors or personal recommendations. However, I know that I'm sure that they will be able to point you to the right direction, and they will be able to give you at least some level of help and introductions and connections. However, what I would recommend you to do is to, before when you apply to Finland and especially when you are admitted, start building your professional network in this field, specifically on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is heavily used in Finland, specifically by recruiters and by a lot of business professionals. And building your professional network in Finland in LinkedIn will help you a long way in finding a job in this kind of specialized field. And then the last question was, does Aalto provide any support in finding part-time jobs in the field? Not directly. So Aalto University or the universities themselves don't directly help you to find a job. However, they have each university in Finland has a career portal and career services that can help you with with job hunting. Like they will help you set up they will help you modify your CV and application letters or motivation letters to the Finnish standard. They could also help you with your LinkedIn profile. They could maybe help you get contacts. But what I would recommend you to do is, let me just pull this one video one more time. I would recommend that you check out the video that I'm going to link in the chat. So in this video, how to find jobs as a student or as a graduate in Finland, I go through 15 different ways you can look for a job in Finland, both in established companies as well as startups. And one, I would definitely recommend that you use recruitment services. And I talk about those recruitment services in that video, so please check that out. All right, I think that is the last question in the form. Super quickly, let's jump quickly to the chat. Shahed is saying that I pronounced it correctly. Awesome to hear. That's really cool. I really don't want to disrespect anyone by mispronouncing their names. The problem is that there's so many different people from different countries, basically all around the world, that it's really difficult to know how to pronunciate everything correctly. And if you want to teach me how to pronunciate, join the Discord server and send me a direct audio message so that I can learn how to pronounce your name for the next stream. Ismenia saying, hey Oliver, I'm from Mozambique and I'm going to start my studies next year. Awesome. I was Whoops, sorry. Jumped to a different page. I was accepted this year, but because of the pandemic situation, I delayed for the next year. First of all, congratulations on being admitted to study in Finland. That is such a cool thing to hear. I think what you did was correct. The pandemic situation early this year was pretty bad, and next year it should be much better, hopefully, at least. And I really hope that you're going to enjoy your stay in Finland and you will do really well with your career in Finland if you so choose. Also, awesome to have you here in the stream. If you yet haven't, please join the Discord server that I set up a couple of weeks ago. We have the idea of the Discord server is to create a community of people who are interested in studying and building their careers in Finland. And on the server, I post updates about my videos and live streams, and I answer people's questions and overall just interact with people more in a more personal manner. The link to join the server is in the live chat right now. Also, Arthur saying, well, Portuguese is quite similar to Spanish, but a bit more complicated, I guess. Yeah, there's a couple of enunciations that are a bit more difficult that I'm not used to. Andy is saying, thanks for hosting this and sorry for asking so many questions. No problem at all. The idea of these streams is to answer as many of your questions as possible. And I simply love that you guys are willing to ask me questions so that I can help you guys out with these topics, because I know that they are applying to study in Finland, and finding work is not easy, and I really like to love helping you guys out. Faisal, about the minimum salaries for bachelor students. Again, it's really difficult to say because that depends on your degree, your experience, your personal skills, as well as the company. So there's no general answer to the question. All right, let's see. Mitch saying kiitos streamistä seuraavaan kertaan, which means thanks for the live stream. Until next time, thank you so much, Micho. It was awesome to have you here as well. Arjun, thanks, Oliver. You made my day, and I really appreciate your support. And yes, I was the same person asking you the question in Discord. Awesome. That's what I thought. Awesome to have you here as well. Arthur saying, Oliver, I'll have to leave the stream right now, but thank you very much for everything. I really appreciate your effort. See you the next time. And many are saying as well, thank you, Oliver. All right, so thank you so much for everyone for joining the stream tonight. Just to repeat myself, or just to make sure that all of you know, these streams are basically weekly live streams that I start at 6:30 p.m. Helsinki time on Thursdays. So that should be UCT plus 3 is the time zone for Helsinki. Every single week I go live. How long it depends a bit on my mood and how tired I am. But I really appreciate you guys joining the stream today, and I will see you next week, or perhaps in the comments of the other videos as well. If you still haven't, joined the Discord server, and I will talk to you there as well. All right, see you next time. Bye-bye.